In Monster Hunter Wilds, low rank and high rank offer two very different experiences. It's almost as if they're two separate games due to the varying challenges that each present. Now for the most part, low rank may seem straightforward until you uncover its true purpose. To assess the game's fluctuating difficulty, I played through the entire low rank story using only starting gear, and I believe this approach allowed me to provide you broskis with a very credible deep dive into this challenging game. When I began this series last month, I assumed that applying my knowledge from World would make this challenge a breeze. However, I soon realized that it meant nothing because I dealt almost zero damage and had almost zero armor. Now some monsters were easier than others, but some did not forgive me for the transgressions against their brethren. Alright, let's talk about low rank in Monster Hunter Wilds and why it might be the most restrictive low rank we've seen in the series. Let's start with the negatives. Low rank in Monster Hunter has always been the game's way of easing you in, but in Wilds it's the world's longest tutorial. The game holds your hand a lot, it has slow pacing, massive maps, but weirdly linear progression. And it feels like we're not really exploring, we're just walking from cutscene to cutscene. And sometimes you literally can't fight a monster, not because you're under leveled, but because the story says, nah, you can't do that because you haven't gotten to that quest yet. And now let's talk a little bit about the positives, because it's not all bad. Wilds ditched a lot of the annoying tracking from past games, so you don't have to follow snot trails around for 10 minutes straight. And most gear only really needs you to hunt a monster once or twice max, which means less grinding. So if you're somewhat of a veteran hunter, if you just focus on the main quest and keep your gear upgraded, you're just cruising. For my challenge, I tried beating low rank without upgrading my gear just to see if it was possible. Was it tough? Yeah. Was it impossible? Nah. What should have been a 5 to 10 minute hunt turned into a 15 to 20 minute endurance test. And I wouldn't really call it difficult as much as I would call it annoying. Some of the apex predators felt very mid. Like, I thought Raydao was the first apex predator, but it was actually Ufduna, the dude who splashes you with water. It was kind of underwhelming for something that was called an apex predator. And the difficulty only really spiked when I got to Zubu. And that's primarily because he was one-shotting me and I failed the quest about 8 times. And honestly, the only other monster that gave me more issues than Zubu was Arkveld himself. Even ZOH SHIA, who was the final boss of the low rank story, I beat on my first attempt. Once you get to these credits, congratulations, you're in high rank. Alright, so low rank might have felt like a really long tutorial, but high rank is where the actual game begins. This is where you gotta grind for materials. This is where you gotta get lucky for the right monster drops, and this is where you upgrade your gear to survive. High rank is basically the game itself. No more tutorials, no more hand holding, except for the part where they teach you how to capture monsters, but besides that, they set you free. This is where the exploration opens up. You can for the most part explore, hunt whatever you want. It's still slightly linear, but it's not as terrible as low rank. In terms of the negatives of high rank, it just gets more difficult. That's all there is to it. This is where you take everything that you've learned from low rank, apply it to the real game, and become a true hunter. Now the positives. High rank is where you start making actual decisions about your build, and part of that is crafting actually good armor. Way more monsters and actual tempered monsters, which will put your skills to the test. They're more aggressive, stronger, and some of them unlock new skills. And the game finally turns into an open world game with its dynamic weather system. And probably for most veterans, this is where the fun actually begins because it becomes more challenging. And the difference between the two ranks is honestly like night and day. In my opinion, low rank in Wilds is probably the longest tutorial we've had in a Monster Hunter title so far. It has really slow pacing, really long cutscenes, and the game just holds your hand the entire way. It's almost too linear, and I feel like even though it's trying to teach you mechanics, it doesn't really let you play freely. But high rank, broskis, that's where they throw you into the wild literally. Now, do I think low rank is too easy? For a veteran, for sure. For a new player, it's probably the right amount of difficult. So after experiencing both low rank and high rank in Wilds, the contrast between the two is massive. Low rank is basically Monster Hunter with training wheels. It's slow, heavily guided, and extremely beginner friendly. For veteran players, it might feel like a bit of a drag because the difficulty is tuned way down and the exploration is locked. However, I just feel like you just need to push through it and get to high rank because that's where the real fun begins. You're finally free to explore more, build your loadouts, grind for the best gear, and take on actual challenges. And it's pretty clear that Capcom's target audience was new players. And that's not really a bad thing, but for veterans, it might just feel too easy. What do you guys think about the jump from low to high rank? Do you guys find it too easy or just right? Let me know in the comments. Even if you don't feel like the game is challenging enough for you, I'm pretty sure that Capcom will listen to its community and provide us with more challenges. In the first free title update, we got Mizutsune, Arc-Tempered Raidao, and even a high rank ZOH SHIA. And I have no doubt that at least some of the future DLCs or updates will satisfy everybody's itch. If you guys like the breakdown, comment down below, don't forget to like and sub, and I'll see you broskis in high rank.